Good morning, traders. Today is Monday, November 3rd. Let's take a look at what's going on in the markets this morning. We've got the S&Ps. We're up 0.25%. We were up 0.4%, so we're seeing a little bit of pullback early this morning. The key catalyst for the markets today remains earnings. Earnings are going to be the key catalyst all week long. In terms of the government shutdown, still remains in effect. Discussions are said to be ongoing. Support for resolution appears limited. One of the key factors this week is going to be the Supreme Court, as they're going to start to hear oral arguments on President Trump's use of the IEEPA tariffs, as the basis for his tariffs. They're not likely going to agree with his assessment. I will have to tell you, all the courts have been rejecting his assessment on use of IEEPA tariffs. The key economic data for today is going to be that ISM manufacturing report that's coming out. The non-farmers payroll report, it's not coming out this week. There's no chance that data is going to be released. So the key employment data for the week is going to be the ADP employment report, which is going to be released on Wednesday. Key news event going on this morning, Kimberly-Clark. Kimberly-Clark is going to buy Kenvue in a $40 billion deal. Listen, I've been watching the option volumes on Kenvue for the last month. They've been exceedingly bullish now. On the earnings front, we got Kenvue and BMTX trading higher after their earnings releases. After the bell today, you got earnings coming out from Palantir, PLTR, a Williams company, WMB, SPG, Sam Paul Grace. You got HIMS, HIMS, Clorox, and VRTX. They're also due out soon. Tuesday morning, you got Shopify, Uber, Pfizer, Spotify, Race, Marriott Hotels. They're all scheduled to report, things to keep an eye on. And then we're taking a look over at Europe to see what the action over is in Europe happening. And, in Germany's up 1.03%. Corporate earnings are in focus. Energy stocks, auto stocks trading higher. The FTSE's higher by 0.1%, getting some support from energy and financial stocks. In France, the CAC is higher by 0.07%. I mean, it was higher by about 0.2%, but it's since pulled back. But we are seeing some positive action in autos. Looking at Asia last night, Asia was generally higher. I mean, the Nikkei was closed for a national holiday. We know that. But Hong Kong gained almost a full percent, 0.97%, with financial stocks trading higher. And in China, the Shanghai Composite rose 0.55%. You had that China's PMI data for October, which came in at 50.10 versus expectations of 50.9 reading. But overall, the market was able to deliver gains. And then we're looking at oil prices this morning, and oil prices are flat to lower. You got WTI at $60.93 a barrel. You got Brent at $64.74 a barrel. Both trading lower by, almost 0.1%. The key aspect here is OPEC came out yesterday. On Sunday, they had that production meeting, and the OPEC members agreed to raise production by 137,000 barrels per day in December. But the key is that they said they're going to take January, February, and March off, the next 3 months after December, off from doing any production hikes or decreases, because the market's a little weak during that time frame, and they don't want to be adding to production at that time frame. So, yeah, oil, trading slightly lower, just trying to price in the latest moves in news from OPEC. Then we got to talk about earnings. We got to start off with Kenvue, ticker KVUE. Listen, they delivered a 2-cent beat. They did have lower earnings, lower revenue. But listen, the stock's up over 17% this morning. And upcoming this afternoon, you got Palantir, ticker PLTR. Their EPS is 17 cents. Expected move is 11%. You got Williams Companies, WMB, their EPS is 51 cents. Expected move is 3.33%. In terms of economic reports for the day, at 10 a.m., we're going to get the ISM Manufacturing Index. That's really going to be the key one for the day. You got other reports coming out this week, including University of Michigan's consumer sentiment. You get the ADP employment report, but for today, it's the ISM Manufacturing Index. In terms of Fed speak, at noon, we're going to hear from San Francisco Fed Bank President Mary Daly. at 2 p.m. We're going to hear from Fed Governor Lisa Cook. Those speeches will be paid attention to see if we get any type of commentary from the Fed on where they're leaning for a December meeting. Obviously, Governor Moran and Governor Waller, they're pushing for rate cuts, but everybody else is kind of pushing back because you don't have employment data really to back up the claims of a rising unemployment so significant that it requires you to lower interest rates due to employment spiking in an environment where inflation is moving higher, and that's really the key issue. We're going to see a lot more on this later this month as we hear from more and more Fed officials. Let's take a look at what's going on in some of the markets. I mean, I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 17 higher, I got 2 unchanged, and I got 11 lower. I'm looking at my FANG stocks this morning. Apple and Tesla trading a little lower. Everything else is higher. In terms of news in the tape, Amazon, Cipher Mining, they released earnings this morning, but they signed a $5.5 billion AI lease deal with AWS, Amazon Web Services. That's positive. Google, Disney channels remain dark on YouTube. It's not really hurting the stock much, but a deal needs to be worked out here. Tesla, I mean, listen, when you look at Tesla shares this morning, and they're down slightly, but later this week, the Tesla shareholders are going to be voting on Musk's $1 trillion pay package. The voting is scheduled to end on November 5th, so there's a chance we might know what the outcome is on November 6th, and he may not get this $1 trillion pay package that he's asking for. And then you got a real concern is, will he walk if he doesn't get paid what he's asking for? There's a school of thought saying he just might, but we'll keep an eye on that. Now we're looking at Dow Jones 30 stocks, and we're looking at NVIDIA. There's a couple stories out here. Number one, they're at that SKAI summit in South Korea. They're doing presentations today and tomorrow. And then, of course, there's a news report out there this morning saying that they're going to be allowed to sell their chips to, these countries in the Middle East. So that's kind of benefiting NVIDIA this morning. Disney, the ticker IDCC, these guys obtained a patent injunction in Germany against Disney on the video streaming technology that Disney apparently is using. They're going to have to stop. We're talking merger news, and this is the big one. Kimberly-Clark, KMB, Kilo Michael Boy, they're going to buy Tylenol maker Kenvue, and they're going to pay 21.01 cents per share. Wow, that's a big deal. I mean, the stock's trading, about $17. Actually, it's trading $16.96. So there's still a premium there. We'll see if this deal will be able to happen or not. In terms of guidance, we did get Kenvue's earnings this morning. They backed their full year 2025 EPS view of $1 to $1.05. Street estimate has $1.03 right in the middle, so that's okay. In terms of catalyst calls today, Citibank opened up a 90-day catalyst watch on structured therapeutics. That's ticker GPCR, Grace Paul Charlie Richard. That's interesting. Okay, it's that time. Let's talk about the stock of the day. And I'm watching Williams Company, ticker WMB, William Michael Boy. Earnings are out after the bell. EPS 51 cents. Expected move 3.22%. Now you look on Friday. Let's take a look at the action on Friday in the option markets. You had 4,522 calls traded versus 441 puts. 4,522 versus 441. Wow. And then the open interest, 73K versus 62K. Okay, you look at the major brokers, they're all positive on the stock. They're really raising price targets on the stock. So I like to see that. So for me to get into WMB, I'm looking at 58, I'll pay up to 58.10, but could go, could trade 57.90. So I'm keeping an eye on that for 20 cents range. But that's my pick of the day, WMB, the Williams Company. Let's take a look and see some of the stocks that are hitting the tape this morning, see if anything significant has hit the tape. Let's see. Ticker DNA, they got a $22.2 million contract announced. Toast and Uber enter multi-year strategic global partnership, TOST and UBER. Google's parent, Alphabet, started an 8-part U.S. dollar bond sale. U.S. allows Microsoft to ship NVIDIA AI chips to use at the UAE for the first time. That's the big story that's moving NVIDIA up over $3 this morning. Microsoft's also up $3. Freshpet FRPT, they reported DPS of $1.86. Street estimate was 40 cents. That's a big uptick. DuPont spun off Quinty Electronics. It's now going to be traded on the ticker symbol Q, and Honeywell spun off Solantis. SOLS, I think, is the new ticker symbol for that unit. Beyond Meat, BYND, they rescheduled their Q3 reporting results to November 3rd. It's never good when you reschedule your earnings report. That's all I'm seeing this morning. Okay, let's talk about Friday's pick. Friday we went with Awesome Therapeutics. That's ticker AXSM, Apple X-Ray Sam Michael. Now, you look at the stock, it opened up at $132.21. And I said 133 as an entry point, but then it rallied and it had a high of 135.72 and closed out at 134.99. So anyway, you look at it, we beat our 1% goal from the opening price or from my entry price. So, Awesome Therapeutics was a win. We didn't have to wait for the earnings. It happened on Friday. So, you got to chalk that up as a win. So pretty happy with that. Awesome Therapeutics, AXSM, winner. And that concludes NewsWares Trade Talk for Monday, November 3rd. Guys, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.